Hello guys, welcome back. In the last lecture, we defined the work experience resources in the routes and created a work order experience resource controller with few empty actions and couple of callbacks. Here you can see on my screen that we created callbacks for authenticate user and show set work experience for edit, update and destroy like member actions, and we defined empty actions like edit, create, update and destroy. Okay, now in this lecture we will proceed with the new action of work experience controller, and here we will implement form for creating work experience records. By the way, one thing I want to let you know that we will display this form into bootstrap model pop-up like we displayed the form for editing the user's personal details and their description. Okay, and this will be just like you add experience in the LinkedIn. Okay, so if you wish, you can view the way a user can add experiences to his profile on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's start with this. First of all, we need to create a new directory into app views. Okay, and name it as work experiences. Why? Because we know that whenever we create a controller and routes for that controller, and if we want to create template for that, then we need to create a directory into the app views with the same name as the controller. Okay, so let's create a new directory into the app views and name it as work experiences. Okay, so here just create a new folder and name it as work experiences. Okay, and into this work experiences directory we need to create two files. One is partial and one is the template. So the partial name should be form.html.trb and the template name is new.turbostream.trb, because we will open the bootstrap form in bootstrap model using turbostream request. So we need to create template as with turbostream extension and the form partial with html.erb. Okay, so let's create the files. So first create the form partial here. So what we can do, and make sure start with underscore, so underscore form dot html dot erb. Okay, and now you need to create new dot turbostream dot erb. Okay, so save this and create here new dot turbostream dot erb. Okay, so now we have template to we have created both files to show our form into the bootstrap model. Now let's come into the form partial. Here we need to build our form within the model body element, because as I mentioned initially that we will display the form for creating experiences into the model pop-up. Okay, so first let's define the form tag into the form partial. So first switch to the form partial, and here we need to define a rails form with tag. Okay, so let's define that equal to form with, and here first we need to define model. So for what model we are creating it, so we are creating it for work experiences. Okay, and into the controller you can see that we define at the rate work experience equal to current user dot work experiences dot new. Okay, so now what it will use here at the rate work experience. Okay, and just like other forms that we created previously, we do not need to provide any url here. Okay, why? Because we are creating this form for our work experience resource, and we define it as a resources into the routes file, so it will automatically get go to the create action when we submit this form. Okay, so no need to provide url here. And now at the do block here, and define the form builder object. Okay, and end this form body. Okay, and end the end of line file, end of file line, sorry. Okay, and now define the div class model body and model footer. Sorry, not model body. Okay, and then define model footer in it. Sorry, model footer. Okay, and into the model footer we can use the same snippet that we have in the other personal info model form. So just you can just copy this model footer sign from here. Okay, so save changes and this close button. So copy both the submit button and the button to dismiss the model, and close the partial and paste that snippet into this file. Okay, so now we have model footer ready, and now we need to implement the form into the model body class. Okay, so first we need to add a div class row here, div class row. And into this row class, now let's write a snippet to display the error. And these errors will be visible to user if validation for work experience has been failed. Okay, so what we can do here, in the row class we need to use if at the rate work experience dot errors dot any, then end this. So now if the errors present, then we need to display the errors. Okay, so let's add div class, let's say error area. Okay, and you can add a style here, color red. Close this div, and into this div we need to write a message, let's say with h3 tag, and here we can display uh, that how many errors are prohibiting this form for being saved. Okay, so we can use pluralize method. This is a helper method to convert the numbers into the plurals. Okay, so pluralize work experience dot errors dot count, sorry, make this replace this comma by dot work experience dot errors dot count. Okay, and then error being saved. Okay, and now we need to display the error messages after it, so we can use the ul li tag. So ul, and into this ul we need to iterate all the errors for work experience. Okay, so just to use the each iterator here, sorry, at the rate errors dot each do, and here error dot full message into the li tag, full underscore message, and save it. Okay, so the part to display the errors has been fixed. Now we will start implementing the form fields for work experience model. Okay, so first we need to add a column 12 class here. So within the row class we need to do that. So after this error area, what you need to do, new class call lg12. Okay, and here what you need to do, div class form group. Okay, and in this form group we need to add label tag. Okay, so I'm using the html label tag here. If you wish, you can use rails label tag like form dot label. Okay, but I need to use span class within that label, so I'm using the html label tag here. So label, okay, class mb2 and mt3, break this label class, and here what we need to do, let the title, the title will represent the job title of the work experience model field. Okay, and here we can add span and class text danger, close the span, and here put the @ sign. Okay, so with this sign in the red color, user can see that this field is required, so he will provide value for that and do not leave empty. Okay, if he leaves empty, then obviously we are showing the error messages or the validation error messages into the form, but still it's a good user experience, so to display the required fields into the form itself. Okay, so now let's add the form field here. So we can add form dot text field, and here let's say job title. Okay, and then add class form control. Okay, and now just copy this call lg12 class, and we will use, sorry, just copy this form group class, and we will just replace the other attributes here. So now let's create company field here. Okay, so replace this title by company, and here replace job title by company. Okay, and now again we need to use the same form group for displaying the employment type. Okay, so add employment type here. Okay, but we will replace this text field for employment type via a select field. Okay, because we added inclusion validation for the employment type, and we will save only specific value for this attribute. So select field is best element here. This way user cannot provide any random string. Okay, so replace this form dot text field by form dot select. Okay, and here you need to provide employment type. Okay, and then put this class into a curly brace, and now we need to provide options to select. I mean, from what option user can select value for employment type. So we need to use options for select, and this is the method for select tag. Okay, okay, and you know that in the work experience model, you can see in the models, go to the models, and in work experience model you can see that we created a constant for employment type. So now we will choose the values of the employment type from this constant, so we can use this for options for select. So what we can do, work experience, and this is how you can accept the constant values. Okay, and then now we need to add a prompt here, prompt, and then select employment type. Okay, and instead of form control we need to use form select for the select attributes. Okay, this will show a drop down sign into the form field, so that we can, a user can have idea that this is the form where he need to provide where he need to select values rather than providing any input. Okay, now copy this form group again, and we will use this for displaying the location. Okay, so and paste it here, and here replace the company by location, and here also location. Okay, and now for the next attribute, that is location type, we also need to use select just like we did for the employment type. So copy this form group now, and here after location what we can provide, we can use and replace this employment type by location type. Okay, and here too. Okay, because you can also see, you can again see in the work experience model that we also defined a location type constant in this model. Okay, so we can fetch location type values from this array constant. Okay, now we need to provide values for the start date and end date. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply use the grid system here, so that we can display form start date in one side and left end date in other side. Okay, so just define a form group row class here after this. So what we can do, form group row here. Okay, and in this row we need to define two call lg6 classes, call lg6. Okay, copy this and paste it here. Okay, and now we need to use our label class. Okay, so what we can do, sorry, label element not label class. So again class mb2 mt3, and here we need to close this label, and inside this label provide start date, sorry, and then add the span tag. provide at the rate sign at the risk sign here. Okay, and then we need to add form dot date field. Okay, because we will use default HTML date picker to allow users to pick up a start date for their experience record. Okay, so use form dot date field here. Here we can start date and add a class form control. Okay, and do the same thing for end date as well. So just copy this and replace start date by end date. So simply we can do end date, and here also this one as well, end it. Okay, and now we need to add a checkbox. Okay, switch like checkbox, or you can simply put a normal checkbox as well. And why we are adding this checkbox? For example, we added another attribute which is a boolean type, that if user is currently working here. Okay, so if user is currently working, then we need to display a checkbox. So if he click that checkbox, we can capture that user is working here, and then we can validate our end date. So it should not be present, it should not present if user clicks on the currently working here checkbox. Okay, so let's add another call lg6 class, and after this paste it here, add mt4 here. Okay, and in this what we need to do, we need to add bootstrap checkbox class. So div class from check and form switch. Okay, so this will show you switch like checkbox button. Okay, and then here we need to use form dot checkbox attribute, and then currently working here. Okay, and add a class here, that is class form check input, and add a role here, that is switch. Okay, and now add label class for it. And in this label add a class, sorry, in the label element add a class form check label. Okay, and then we need to add an id that for what attribute we want to provide it. Okay, so we can use this currently working here. Okay, because since it is a rails form, so whenever you see this form on the browser, you will find the id of this element as currently working here. Okay, and we added it to the for attribute in the label tag. That means that this switch checkbox will point to this element of the rails form. Okay, and then here we need to add some label value, so we can add, let's say I'm currently working here. Okay, and save this. Now we need to add a form field for allowing users to provide the description as well. Okay, however this is optional, but still we need to add this, because having because it's all up to user. If they want to provide, they can write into it. If they don't want to provide, they can escape it. Okay, so now we need to provide a description for it. Okay, so we can copy this form group, and here we can use this after this line. Okay, and here we can remove this span tag. Okay, because this is not necessary fill, so we can simply use description. Okay, and write here description, and rather than text field, make it text underscore area attribute. Okay, save it. And now we need to add, let's say how many rows we want to provide as default. So rows, let's say 5. Okay, and save the form. And we already done with we already did the model footer changes here. Okay, so you can see that we are reusing our bs model turbo stream controller for closing this model pop-up. Okay, and now save the form partial. Here we added all the required fields for the work experience. Okay, but we cannot see this form on the browser for now because we just created the form partial and we need to render this partial into the template as well. Okay, so let's come to the new.turbostream.erb, and there you need to render it using turbostream. Okay, so here is the our new template, that is new.turbostream.erb, and here what you need to do, you just need to turbostream.replace turbostream.replace and then provide the turbo frame tag id here, that is remote model. Okay, and then do and end this block. Now within this turbo dot stream dot replace, we need to render our partial. Okay, but we will not render the form partial here. Instead we will use the path of form partial as a local, and then we will pass it to the our global turbo model partial that we created into the share directory. Here you can see that this turbos model we are using all across our application to display form in the bootstrap model. Okay, so we will use the same partial. So what we need to do here, we just need to render the shared turbo model. Okay, so let's do that. Render, and here provide shared turbo model. Okay, and then you need to provide your local. So for example, first is model title, and use model title as, let's say, add new work experience. Okay, and then you need to provide form partial path. So what our form partial path here is, that is work experiences form. Okay, so here you can see that we have this form partial in our work experiences. So now whenever we send a request to the new action of the work experiences controller, it will first render the turbo model. Okay, and with that form partial path, here you can see in the turbo model, it will render the work experiences form on the browser. Okay, and now save the new.turbostream.template as well. Okay, now we have both partial and the template to show the work experience form in the browser, but as the last thing we need to display a link to send a request to the new action of work experience controller. Okay, and this will render the form in bootstrap model on the browser. Okay, why we need to add this link? Because we just have partial and template, but how it will open, user first have to perform some activity on the DOM, so that we need a link, and when user click on that link, then it will process the flow. Okay, so let's add the link. Open the members controller show.html. Here you can see that we have the show.html into the members directly into the app views. Okay, now after the user description card, here you can see that this is the user description card, and after this card what we need to do, we need to create another card element, and in this card we will display a list of user work experiences. Okay, but we do not have any user work experiences right now, so we will not display anything. Instead we will display a link to add new work experience. Okay, and we will only do this if user is signed in and user is equal to current user. Okay, so let's add the card body class first in this card. Okay, and here we need to add the condition first, so we can add if user signed in, just to make sure that user is signed in or not. Okay, if user signed in and at that user equal to current user. Okay, then only we will display the link to show that. Okay, add an end here. Now add the row class in this if. So div class row. Okay, and here first made div class call lg4. Okay, and then we will add here flex class deflex justify content start. Okay, justify content start, and now add the heading for this card. So what we can add here, let's say s3 tag, and here we can add work experiences. Okay, and after this we need to create another div class with call lg4. So just replicate this, close this div, close this div. Okay, and here we need to add justify content and. Okay, and in this div we need to write the link. Okay, so we can write simply, let's say link to, and here new work experience path, and then we need to provide the data controller attribute. Okay, since we are trying to open this controller into the open this form into the BS model, a bootstrap model. Okay, so we need to use this stimulus controller. Here you can see that we created a controller that is BS model form controller, and it is handling the form opening into the bootstrap model. Okay, so now we need to refer this BS model form as a data controller attribute. Okay, and just like we did for the edit personal information and edit description. Okay, so here we can do BS model form. Okay, and now add a do block here and this link, and here we need to add an icon class. Let's say bi not pencil this time. This time it should be plus, because we are adding this for we are adding this icon for displaying a new work experience. Okay, and now what we can do here, add experience. Okay, save it, and now we need to display another link, that is if user experience is present, I mean the work experience for currently signed in user is present, then we will display an edit link as well. Okay, so after this we need to create another call lg, but before that we need to add condition there. Okay, so what we will do here, if at the rate user dot work experiences, sorry, dot present, then only we will display this element. Okay, so now add again, copy this link here, sorry, copy this yeah, copy this call lg4, paste it here, and for now we will just add an empty link to this new work experience, and we can remove this data controller as well. So what we can do for empty link, javascript void 0, and provide 0 here. Okay, and now instead of plus we need to use bi pencil fill. Okay, and here we can use edit experiences. Okay, and save it, and now make sure to save all the places where we made changes. Okay, now we have everything ready to display our work experience form in the browser. Okay, so come to the browser. Here you can see I am on the browser right now, but you need to make sure that your server is running and you are signed in with a user, because as I told you already that only signed in user can create new work experiences. Okay, so if you are signed in, come to the browser. Okay, if you are not signed in, then kindly sign in. Okay, and then refresh the page. Okay, or you can simply click on the my profile if you are not on the detail page. Okay, so since I am already on the detail page, I can refresh the page, and here you can see that I can see this card where I can display, I can see the work experiences heading into the card and a link to open the form in bootstrap model. Okay, but I did not clicked on it, so we cannot see this form. Now let's click on this add experience link. Here you can see, as soon as I click, this is the form that I can see in the browser. So here you can see, this is the title, company, employment type, is showing the values that we have stored in the work experience model. This is the location type, it is also showing in the work experience model. Okay, this is start date, end date. Okay, and this is the description. Okay, however our switch is not working here, so let me see what happened. Maybe some typo mistake here, so switch to the form again, so we will make it work. So come to the form partial and let's open this form group row class. Okay, so here maybe some issues. Okay, so here I made a typo mistake. Here you can see I use FOMR instead. I need to use FORM. Okay, so save it now and now refresh the browser. Okay, and click on the work experience again, and now you can see that this is the checkbox. Okay, or this is now visible in the switch format. Okay, so now our form is ready and we can see the form to create a new work experience into the bootstrap model. Okay, and that was our purpose for this lecture, and this is what we wanted to achieve. Okay, here you can also notice that we did not created any new stimulus controller to open this form in bootstrap model. Instead, we reused the existing ones, and this is from this lecture. And in the next lecture we will work on saving the work experience into the database. Meanwhile, it's your chance to try this lecture at your end, and we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.